I can't wait for us to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we're going to do it right now.
Let's do it.
The Toronto Maple Leafs swept California.
For the third time ever.
Is that how many times they've done it?
I don't remember when the other two were, but yes, the third time ever.
They beat opponents by 18-4 in the middle of their road trip.
Both those numbers rule.
They never trailed a game at any single point of their entire road trip.
That's 4-game road trip, not just
the 4 game. Yeah. They went 4-0 on the road trip, 3-0 in California. Never trailed at a single moment in any of those games. They finished with 12 wins in November, the most in a calendar month in the 184 million year history of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
And they're tied for first in the entire NHL and have the most wins.
The Toronto Maple Leafs are the best team in the NHL right now.
They're certainly the hottest.
They're the hottest, and they're probably the best. They have the best goaltender. They have
one of them.
I believe it's in 7 straight games. Jack Campbell has not allowed more than 2 goals.
I think I was at the last game he did.
Since he has entered the league, he leads in save percentage, wins, and goals against average. He is the best goaltender in the National Hockey League since he has become a full-time starter.
You know what kills me? I think I was at the Leafs' last legitimately bad game.
Were you?
Yeah, I was at the home game against the Kings where they lost 5-2. And Trevor Moore scored.
Yeah, that was probably their last terrible game.
It's the only game I've been to this season.
Are you in on the Toronto Maple Leafs being the best team in the National Hockey League?
Being the best team is aggressive. Being a vastly improved team from last year, they
just say you're
don't
back
make
in.
me say it. They look like a contender.
What do you mean a contender? Of course they're contending.
Yeah,
but are they a legitimate Stanley Cup? Hey, this is amongst the 5 teams, because really, when you look at the standings, you're like, okay, these 5 teams are really have a chance at the Cup.
Right?
Are they in that class now?
Well, who do we got? Who do we got? Who are the
off the top of my head?
Let's look at the top 10 teams in the league by the NHL standings, because the amount of games played is screwed up. The Panthers are in there, and they're in the same division, so that sucks. Tampa's in there by default. Thank you, Andre Vasilevsky, giving me my first fantasy win.
Oh, you won this week?
Yeah, he got 2 shutouts.
Hey,
it was awesome.
Steve Dango's fantasy team, everybody.
Let's go. So yeah, Leafs, Panthers. Who else did I say?
Washington.
Tampa. Washington with, I didn't realize how good Ovechkin was doing.
He's on a 71-71 pace. He's on pace for 71 goals and 71 assists.
That's so dumb.
He's gotten better. Could be his best season ever, and he is at his oldest age.
And I always come back to Ryan Lambert's Sidney Crosby is a vampire rant. When he went on some, I don't even remember who it was, one of the Steigerwalds had a radio show in Pittsburgh where he baselessly said he basically implied Ovechkin could be on steroids. That was like a decade ago.
Right.
And now he's a 36-year-old man on a 70-plus goal pace, and you've already said the steroids thing.
10 years ago.
You get to play that card once.
Yeah.
You get to play the he might be on steroids card once, and you played it way too early.
What are you saying now?
Yeah, you say it now, people might go, he could, I don't know.
But you did that 10 years ago when he was putting up 60.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't now.
So
no, he's doing something. He's like the third. Oh God, I gotta here.
Okay,
go.
I'm gonna list the teams.
I got a text.
You're trying to do it off the top of your head.
Find it.
I'm gonna do the teams for everybody.
Sure.
These are the ones who I'm putting. Hey, if I have to do the Stanley Cup odds, these are the teams I'm grouping in the top 5.
Here, I got my.
You
number.
got it?
I got my number. This is from Julian McKenzie. Alexander Ovechkin just became the 3rd player in NHL history to score 10 goals and 10 assists in a calendar month at the age of 36 or older. Who are the first 2? My guesses were not Gretzky. I said Mario Lemieux and Peter Stastny. The answers, Gordie Howe and Teemu Selanne.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Very good.
He's unfathomable how good he is.
He's doing something at his age that only 2 other people have ever done.
Mm-hmm.
And they're Teemu Selanne and Gordie Howe. Like, that's the company he's in.
So
Sorry,
Washington
who are the players?
gets in that group.
So they're the fourth team there.
I'm going to list it for you. I got Carolina.
Yep, absolutely.
I got Florida.
Okay.
I got Tampa.
Yep.
I got Washington.
Yep.
I got Toronto.
Sure. Yep. I'll say yep.
And I want to leave out Edmonton and Calgary.
Ooh, that's interesting.
But
why are they in there?
Either of those crack it for you. I give it. I'm throwing in Calgary because I think through the West they can make it out. Because the West seems like such a weaker conference than the Eastern Conference right now. I think there's a way for them to sneak through the West with the way they're playing. We harp on postseason hockey so much on this show.
Yeah.
The way they're playing, I think that's a postseason team. I think they can do a lot of good things heading into the playoffs. And there's a way for them to sneak through the West and make the Stanley Cup final. So I was going to throw in Calgary and then Edmonton. If McDavid and Draisaitl do what they do in the regular season in the playoffs, if that ever happens, then they're the best team.
So what's the conversation we're having? Is it who's the best right now or who's going to win the cup? Because to me, the who's the best conversation is in November or at the very end of November. It's closer to the who's going to win the President's Trophy than who's going to win the cup.
No.
So you're talking cup.
I want to cut a line between these are the cup teams who I'm like, these guys have a legit shot right now of being in the cup finals. And I'm putting Toronto in that group. And that's the conversation I want to have. Does Toronto fit that group? And then sidebar, probably dropping Edmonton and Calgary out of that. But those are my top 5 teams.
See, because Edmonton's cooled off a little.
Yeah.
And like it's not even that they're bad. They're not. It's their flaws are just showing a little bit more with injury.
That's why no one wants to put them in that group because they haven't proved it yet. And that's why I'm like,
don't get an injury pass because they happen.
Injuries aren't an excuse in the NHL. Every team has them.
They are, but like also tough shit. Like they're definitely an excuse. Like, yeah, the Leafs lost John Tavares. That's a good excuse. But tough shit.
Win a game.
Yeah, win 1 out of 3. Anyway.
Don't do a spinorama, Travis Dermott. So,
Anyway.
do the Leafs, are they in the cup conversation? Look how they're playing.
Well, and I've highlighted it the last 2 LFR videos. They're playing so differently, and they're finally giving Sheldon Keefe what he wants.
Matthews had a tip in from standing in front of the net. Mm-hmm. He didn't wrist it top cheese over a goalie.
Nope.
He tipped it by blocking the net and screening the goalie.
And yeah,
postseason hockey.
You forget he's 6'3" and like 220 or something like that. So he does that. There was a goal. So last night was the Sharks. No, last night was the Ducks. Mm-hmm. The night before was the Sharks. Sorry. I'm so glad the California road trip's done. I'm so jacked about that. The night before against the Sharks, Matthews was directing traffic, I think, again. Whichever game it was the one where Bunting throws the puck back to, I think it was Brody. Doesn't matter who the defenseman was. Fuck it. One of the defensemen has the puck at the point. They throw it on, and in front, there's Bunting on one side of the net. There's Matthews dead on, and Marner's on the other side. They're trying to generate a rebound there. And if there is one, it's going in. It's going in. So it's not even just the tip-in goals. It's they're actively trying to generate chaos in front. That's helped Wayne Simmons get a couple goals over the last couple games.
He's looked great.
He's looked great. Michael Bunting, Nick Ritchie is doing fine in his role. He's never getting top line back.
It's Bunting all day.
It's his.
Yeah.
He's clearly the best one they have.
The Muzzin pass to Marner to Bunting, that was my favorite play of the year.
Really underrated game for young Mitchell.
Oh, yeah.
Last night, because he had that, I don't know if he called for the pass, but he seemed to be the orchestrator, and the feathered backhand sauce to Michael Bunting was disgusting. It was so good. And he had another goal. I can't remember who scored this one because all these games are blending together, where there were 5, it was the Ducks game. There were 5 Ducks going into the corner, and he came out with it, which is, it's probably sloppy play from the Ducks, but you're going to make mistakes. And right now the Leafs are capitalizing on all of them. They're capitalizing on all of them. They've made their goalies' lives so much easier of late. Last night was not a good example of that, I thought, actually.
Outside of the first period.
No, dude, they allowed 20 shots in the third.
Is that how many it was?
Yeah, and a lot of them. It
felt like the game was all like done though by the time the third period started to me.
But
I was just tired.
There were a solid 5 minutes when the Ducks did end up scoring where it didn't feel done. Like it wasn't just that they scored; they scored and it feels like they might score more. So not every team is going to play a perfect game. Like that's one thing I've learned watching the Lightning so much over the past couple of years and the Islanders. That guys, they're not perfect. Like the best hockey teams make mistakes.
They don't go 82-0.
Yeah, like one thing I came to really appreciate about the Islanders, especially in their series with Tampa, this was more so the bubble year than last year. They could defend with any team in NHL history at the cost of generating literally any offense whatsoever.
But when they do get a little offense, they got a goal.
They had one game, I can't remember when it was, but I couldn't believe it didn't go to quintuple overtime. Because I was like, okay, Tampa's just going to try to attack, and the Islanders are going to stop it, and we're going to do that until 4 a.m. It's going to be awful, and we're all going to have to sit through it, and they're ruining hockey. But and Tampa would make dumb mistakes. That's how they lost one of their games against Montreal. That was Vegas's entire loss against Montreal, was them playing the dumbest hockey I've ever seen. The way Vegas played in the third round last year made me wonder how they made the playoffs, let alone how they even got that far. And the Colorado Avalanche were supposed to be this juggernaut, and they lost to Vegas, who I was just shitting on.
And I didn't even put Colorado in that list we made.
Yeah, and
they probably should be there, but
probably should be there, and they're hot too, and they're the Leafs' next opponent, so that'll be an interesting.
That's gonna be a really good game.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting litmus test. And yeah, Tampa, this perfect structured team, played 6 regular season hockey games against the Florida Panthers last year. Like that was stupid, dumb, high event hockey with a lot of goals. So I'm saying all that to say sometimes the standard for Leafs fans to say that the Leafs are good is to pretend like every year the two teams in the Stanley Cup final it's like Goku versus Cell. They're the two most powerful being in the universe, when really it often ends with Piccolo against one of the Ginyu Force. Like it's really sorry. This is really
nobody.
A lot
is
of people
this.
understood that.
5% of the audience, if that.
It's at least 30.
That's a deep cut Dragon Ball Z reference.
It's at least 30.
I don't know if it's 30%.
The best teams in the NHL, the final 4 teams who are left at the end of it all, have flaws. So you're looking at the Leafs right now and you're going, well, I don't like how Justin Hall's playing. Jake Muzzin still hasn't had a very good season. I still have questions about their depth. What happens if Jack Campbell gets hurt? Well, every other team in the league has these questions. So that's a really long way of saying, gosh, do the Leafs look like a contender?
Yes.
They do. But do you understand why it hurts my heart to say that?
Yeah, because there's a lot of problems going on.
There are people talking shit to me today, like, oh, you're hopping off the bandwagon. And I'm like, I want to be like, can I borrow $1,000? And then a month later, when I have not paid you back, can you loan me another $1,000? Don't worry, I'm going to pay you back.
That's the Leafs.
And then another month later, can I have another $1,000? Don't worry, I'm going to pay you back, even though I haven't paid you back for the other $2,000.
And you do that for 50 years.
And you do that for 50 years! Stop being Leaf fans. Stop being so robbable.